Hey guys, Rick Stone here from Stoney Acres Gardening. Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about when and how you do a fall planting of peas. So it's early in July and I am currently sitting in front of my spring pea planting, and you can see it looks awful because the plants are done, they're burning out. I haven't watered them for a while. Time for those to come out and move on to something else. I often, though, will get people asking me, when do I plant peas so that I can have a fall crop of peas? And so I wanted to do just a quick video to talk about the timing of that for each of us. And this video is not really based on your garden zone, but instead the timing of planting peas for the fall is based on your frost date. So your first frost date is kind of the target. So pea plants themselves, the plants themselves, are actually quite tolerant to cold and frost. We plant them early in the season. Mine go in the middle of March. They're up and they get frosted, they get frozen, and that's okay. Those plants are really quite hardy and will do pretty well. The problem with peas is that the actual fruit, the pea itself, is not terribly freeze hardy. It can handle a little frost here and there, but it doesn't like really hard freezes. And so the timing for a fall planting of peas is going to be such that we get those peas to mature kind of right around that first frost date time frame in the fall. We don't want them to be constantly frosted. We don't want them to experience a hard freeze. And so we need to get them to mature about the same time that that cool weather happens. Now, again, they can handle a little bit of freezing, but ultimately we want to make sure that they don't get a ton of freezing because those actual fruit are not going to handle that really well. So our timing then is about 10 weeks to maybe as early as 12 weeks before our first fall frost date. So let me use my garden as an example. Our average first fall frost date is right around October 1st, which means we need to be planting any fall peas the middle of July. Right there about July 15th is our target date. So you need to take that 10 weeks and adapt it based on your first frost date. The other thing that I want you to kind of recognize with a fall crop of peas is that you need to keep your expectations low, okay? Those peas are growing up in what is not really the best time of year for them to be growing. They're going to do okay, but they're going to struggle in the heat. The plants are just not going to thrive like they do in the springtime, and they're not going to grow as big. They're not going to produce as much, and so keep your expectations of your fall peas lower. They really are not going to produce anywhere near as well as your spring peas for most of us. Now, if you happen to live in an area with a really long, drawn-out fall, here I'm thinking some of the warmer zones where your frost dates don't come until late November, early December. If you plant your peas 10 weeks before that first frost date and you have that long, drawn-out, relatively cool fall, then you may actually have a successful crop. But for a lot of us that live in the colder zones where we kind of go from hot weather right into cold weather and we skip fall altogether, we're going to struggle a little bit more with fall peas. So again, just kind of keep that expectation low because it's not the same time of year. They're going to be struggling. The sunlight is going down instead of up. Lots of disadvantages for peas this time of year. Really, my expectation is always to have about half or maybe even less the harvest from a fall pea planting than I would from a spring pea planting. So I don't plant nearly as much in the fall. Behind me, my spring peas, that bed's 4 foot by 12 foot, and I just don't do anywhere near that kind of space for peas. I'll find some little places where maybe I've got some empty space, maybe a trellis that my beans didn't do well on or something like that, and I'll try and sneak in a few peas there. But really, that's all I try to do for fall peas, just so that I have a taste. The other thing that I want to give you a little guidance on is the varieties that you try to grow in the fall. I traditionally try to focus on the snow peas and the sugar snap pea varieties for fall. Those peas you can eat basically at any stage of their development. So snow peas and sugar snap peas, you can eat the pod, which means you can eat them anytime they have a pod, which lends itself to an advantage when that cold weather is starting to come. So if you all of a sudden see that you're going to have 4 or 5 nights of really hard freezes, you can go ahead and just pick all of the peas and just eat them in whatever stage they're in. If you happen to get some sugar snap peas to develop peas actually in the pod, great, but otherwise you can just eat the pod. Whereas if you try to plant the English or the shelling peas for the fall, you have to wait until those peas have filled out and have fully matured, and that can sometimes be a problem late in the fall when that cold weather starts to arrive. So my recommendation, stick with the snow peas and the sugar snap peas so that you can just basically harvest them whenever the weather dictates that you need to make it happen. All right, well, that's all I have for you for this week. Before you go, if you would be a little bit more interested in learning more about fall gardening and winter gardening, I have a year-round gardening mini course that is free that you can get signed up for. This free course is about 45 minutes long. I just refilmed the entire course this year, so it's brand new, free for you to sign up for. It's going to teach you about what crops you should be growing in the fall and winter, when to be planting them, and how to protect them so that they will last throughout the winter. So again, that's a free course. Link in the description of this video that you can click on to get signed up for that. All right, that's all I have for you for this week. Everybody have a fantastic week. Happy gardening.